weekend in Dallas in January, le dernier tour de piste. Friday, Matt and Emily drove up from Austin where they had been on a short holiday, banking quality time while they could. The baby was due in June. They got to Dallas late afternoon and found the Airbnb, a big white McMahon's on a manicured street not far from Dealey Plaza. The house was half full already. Greg and Wayne were there unpacking des œufs from Whole Foods bags. No Jack or Gary this year to everyone's dismay, but the Narrowhead and Scourge guys were around. RJ was there too, and Riley, of course. He had arranged for the place and put down his credit card, doing all the work and fronting the money as usual, making things happen. For his trouble, Riley got the master bedroom, which had a king bed. Greg wanted to get dinner. He recruited Wayne, Matt, and Emily, and they found a Mexican place close to the house. They talked current events. Wayne said Mayor Pete had a serious shot at the nomination. When the bill came, Greg proposed a three-way split. This meant that Wayne, who had ordered lightly, had to help pay for what Matt had ordered. Soup and ceviche and 2 wings. That must have stung. Knowing Wayne, un peu radin, his old trip was budgeted to the last cent. The rest of the van was due to land shortly after dinner. Matt drove to get them in the rental car, a big silver Malibu. As they all piled in with their luggage, Matt was playing a podcast about the jetliner that had just been shot down over Tehran. He said his grandfather had been living in Dubai in 1988 when the USS Vincennes had blasted Flight 655, and he claimed to have heard the impact and seen the flash in the sky over the Strait of Hormuz. At some point during the drive, it started snowing. Des gros flocons qui tourbillonnaient. Does it snow in Dallas in January? Nobody knew. Saturday morning, we got coffee at a nearby spot. Jake spilled the whole flat white all over the hardwood floor while Cody went beet red with laughter. Then it was off to Southside Ballroom for loading. Mil-Spec played after dress code and special interest in the small room. It was a good set, especially considering the early hour. The rest of the day was spent in the bowels of the venue, or près labyrinthe. All the tunnels and passages led to the big central catering area, where the food spread was expansive and never seemed to deplete. Greg held court while sitting on a couleur de bière, dispensing frosty high lives to all who approached. This way he didn't have to circulate, everyone came to him. Charlie came up at one point in a full gaucho ensemble. He said he was looking for Little Black Metal. That's his surnom for Jake. The beer supply was an issue. Andrew and Dan went through the van's strict allotment of cans in no time. And from then on, it was a quest for a restock heated seat. Eventually, some barback came over with a fresh fantastic. Scourger's dress code would play too. Riley said he'd take care of everything, book the shows, procure the van, and even do the driving. That was the plan.